Overall, I think that everyone's pretty much like, that's it, done and dusted. As a fan, I'm not getting carried away. I'm not gonna do that. There's still 11 games to go, and Arsenal do have one game in hand. So, but it definitely felt like the weekend where the pendulum finally swung, and I think it just takes a lot of pressure off Liverpool now, with 7 of 11 games being at home, and Arsenal now really need to kind of win every single game, and they've just lost to West Ham. They've not got their attackers. I think they'll start to dip a little bit. I think they'll start to drop in the next few games. All right, let's get into this after the weekend. The weekend that for Liverpool has felt like it should have been happening for about the last 4 to 6 game weeks. I mean, yeah, it's been a long time coming. I think I've said this before in the other videos, but really since the Man United game when we drew, was that 2-2? Drew 2-2 with them. It felt like that was the weekend. I know it's a long time ago, and so in reality it's not, but it felt like that was the weekend that Liverpool could take a grasp on the title race, and it just hasn't happened. And to be quite honest with you, I think that if Arsenal hadn't lost to West Ham on the Saturday, the game yesterday at the Etihad is different. I think the energy going into it is massively different. As soon as Arsenal lost, I, as a fan, felt the pressure was massively off of Liverpool, and I hoped that that would give the team all the energy that they needed to get back and get a win yesterday. A draw yesterday would have been fine at the Etihad after Arsenal's dross, but a win was huge. So it's funny how the pendulum swings. I felt Liverpool were really, really on the edge. I was concerned. I felt like they were going the way that they went last season at this time. I felt like they were dipping. I think a lot of people felt like that. I think the fans felt like that. And if Arsenal could have clawed that back to 5, even with their situation with strikers, I think Liverpool might have crumbled. So thank you, West Ham. Shout out to Andy Jones, mate. Been on the podcast. We'll definitely get him back on. Big hammer. So yeah, thanks to West Ham for that win, and really which just completely shifted the whole energy for Liverpool going into the game yesterday. You know, it wasn't a. It was where do I want to start on it? I think the most intriguing thing for me this season is, yeah, City have fallen off, but the most adaptable manager in games. His team are top of the league. His team are top of the league, played 27, won 19, drawn 7, lost 1, scored 64 goals, conceded 26 with a goal difference of plus 38. And as we know, on 64 points, 11 clear, even though Arsenal have got a game in hand. So, yeah, it's the manager that's at the top has been the most adaptable in games. And Liverpool played away yesterday against Man City, whether it be through choice or even Slot said Man City still dominated the ball. He wanted to have the ball more than they did after the game. But Liverpool adapted and got in. I haven't seen Salah defend like that since his early days under Klopp in those first few years. Diaz was back there as a left back, almost doing what Manny used to do with Robertson when they were first together. The whole thing, it was completely different to what Liverpool have done all season. They've preserved Salah's energy and allowed him to stay high, and he's come out himself and said the biggest difference under Slot is he's allowed to stay higher, and he's not expected to come back and drop in and help out as much. So yeah, I think again adaptability in the game, whether that was the game plan or not, they adapted to it. And yeah, the manager that's been the most adaptable this season in the league is at the top. And I think it's interesting. It's like, again, I'm not going to get into this. I did the last video on all this. But, having that style and that philosophy absolutely is there. But I feel like it's more principles. Like, it's more principles, and being able to be adaptable in games is the biggest thing. And I think that as football's starting to shift a little bit now, I think that's going to be the managers that come out on top are going to be the ones that are the most adaptable and don't hone in on this consistently doing the same thing over and over again, even when it's maybe not getting you results. Football's about adapting in games. And Neville says it all the time. Like, he can relate to this Liverpool side under Slot because that's what Fergie and Man United used to be able to do. They used to be able to adapt in games and every different game. And everyone would still be able to tell you what a Fergie team looked like for Man United. But the best part about them was they were able to adapt when things maybe weren't going well on the day, or it was a team that they maybe knew that they would concede possession against, maybe in Europe or whatever. So, yeah, most adaptable manager tactically has been, not even tactically, just most adaptable manager to the game state is a better way to put it, is currently top of the league and his team's flying. I mean, Liverpool have lost one game this season in the league, Nottingham Forest. We lost to PSV, dead rubber game where we were already through, changed the squad around. Yeah, got beat by Plymouth in the Cup, a team that should beat Plymouth, but it wasn't the first 11. So, I mean, this team have only lost once this season. I feel like that's gone a bit under the radar with the chat and everything like that. But just huge for them. I don't know if I really want to go into too much of the game. Liverpool were just clinical, absolutely clinical. The man up top, who I'm going to get into a little bit here, Salah, I mean, how he's adapted his game to be this guy that you can clip the ball too long and him to be able to hold people off like he does. He's not going to spin you in behind anymore and do all that, we know that. But how he's able to just hold people off, and Neville said it in his podcast after, he held off a 6 foot plus Garvadol like he was a little boy, and he's been doing it all season, and it's incredible to see the adaptation in his game. And I think that in my era, my generation, being 31, the man who did that was most obvious that did that was Ronaldo. He went from that wide attacker into that 9 who just became a goal scorer. And even though Harry Kane started to drop in a little deeper, he did it as well a little bit too at Spurs when Mourinho came in. As you start to get older and you lose the little things, i.e. pace typically, which makes you a really difficult forward to play against, you need to be able to adapt your game. And Salah's done it to an absolute T, and he's just become such an outlet for Liverpool in games where they need to get out. Even yesterday, like City didn't really, they had all the ball. I think Liverpool had like 34% possession, but I hate those stats anyway. But I mean, never really under threat, but just to get out, you know he's going to be able to hold the ball up for you and allow the team to get up the pitch a little bit and start to get yourself out. It's really incredible. I mean, if you look at it, obviously he's got the most goals in the league this season. He's got 25 goals. He's got the most assists, which has probably been the biggest part of his game that's kind of come on with 16 assists. I mean, it was interesting when I looked at transfer market, because I was having a look at just Salah and his career at Liverpool. As I said, 25 goals in the league this season, 16 assists. I mean, if you actually go down, so last season he gets 18 goals, he gets 10 assists, so he's double figures assists. The season before, 22-23, he gets 19 goals and 12 assists. So again, he's in double figures. 21-22, he gets 23 goals, 13 assists, right? So again, he's double figures there. So I was actually quite surprised. I didn't think he hit as many assists as that recently. I thought this season was really, obviously it has been the biggest jump, but I thought this season was like a huge jump from it. But he's been floating in and around that. Yeah, fair enough, 2021, he gets 5 assists, but he's got 22 goals. But 19-20, 19 goals, 10 assists. In his first season, he gets 10 assists, 32 goals. So actually consistently, he's pretty much hitting double figure assists every season too, and I don't feel like that was ever talked about with him, but he's definitely added to that a little bit more when I was saying with that strength, while still unbelievably this season and pretty much every season roughly hitting about 20 a season, just keeping those goals going. I mean, it's a Ballon d'Or level season. It really is a Ballon d'Or level season. He's never really been considered for it, and you can say that Liverpool haven't won enough big trophies, and maybe that's why he's not considered for it, because it's typically the guys that go far in the Champions League that get them and all that. Fair enough, whatever. But for me, Mohamed Salah's in Ballon d'Or form this season, and if Liverpool can do well in the Champions League, hopefully he actually finally gets recognised for that. I swear he's like barely made it into the team of the year that like FIFA and that do, which is baffling in any of his seasons when he's had some unbelievable seasons. So he's just been, for me, obviously, no doubt, one of the greatest Liverpool players of all time, and as they really just spent the whole, analysis after the game talking about, he's pushed himself now into the greatest Premier League player of all time. He's pushing himself into being one of the greatest players of all time. When you look back at it, absolutely no question. Thierry Henry, I've always said, for me, was probably the best I've ever seen. I really think Salah's there. If he can add the Premier League title to his name this season, to have 2, maybe a Champions League, to have a couple of Champions Leagues as well, then I think he's absolutely in that conversation. You can start to put him up trophy-wise with some of those guys a little bit more. But I mean, just an absolutely incredible football player. So overall, I think that everyone's pretty much like, that's it, done and dusted. As a fan, I'm not getting carried away. I'm not gonna do that. There's still 11 games to go, and Arsenal do have one game in hand. So, but it definitely felt like the weekend where the pendulum finally swung, and I think it just takes a lot of pressure off Liverpool now, with 7 of 11 games being at home, and Arsenal now really need to kind of win every single game, and they've just lost to West Ham. They've not got their attackers. I think they'll start to dip a little bit. I think they'll start to drop in the next few games. As soon as they draw or lose a couple and Liverpool win, then yeah, I mean Liverpool are basically hands on the trophy. So touch wood, nothing happens. Let's see. A couple of things when I was looking at the goals and assists and stuff like that. Just looking at Salah, I mean, Damsgaard with 10 assists this season, Robinson with 10 assists, Saka even with 10, even though he's been injured. Damsgaard's been great for Brentford. He's gone under the radar. I think a few people will be looking at him. A lot of the podcasts I listen to, Brentford fans have been, saying he's really been kind of year by year steadily improving. So be interesting to see how he does in there. And again, another Brentford guy in the goals, and Mbeumo, 15 goals this season, one more than Cole Palmer, who's kind of been the kind of golden boy, media boy this season, as being English. I was saying to the boys in my fantasy football chat that, it's interesting. We all do it. I'm guilty of it too. But like everyone chats about guys like Palmer and stuff like that when they're at those so-called top 6 clubs. And Brian Mbeumo is having a hell of a season. And it'll be I think he's about 25, so it'll be interesting to see if anyone looks at going for him. But yeah, I just thought Damsgaard and Mbeumo were two standouts. Obviously Chris Wood's got his 18 goals. Isak, probably the best 9 in the league behind Haaland. Cunha as well at Wolves. Someone's surely going to buy him. So yeah, just a couple of cool little stats in there. I mean, just going through the weekend fixtures and everything like that. If there's anything else to talk about, I don't think that there really was. I watched the game. I watched all the football because I was literally just bedbound this weekend. So I watched the game at Goodison. Everton, incredible first half. Man United, probably the worst saying it's the worst I've ever seen Man United is massive because they've been really poor, but it really was. And then Everton kind of just dip off. The game feels like it's teetering out, and then United are very, very fortunate to have Bruno Fernandes still there, scores the free kick, and it rejuvenates them. But I mean, that's a pen all day long at Goodison. That is a pen all day long on Young. Is it soft? Yes, but soft, and yes or no, it's still yes. It's still a penalty. So United got out of jail with that one. Did well to pull themselves back in, but God, man, Amarin doesn't look like he's having any fun there. And I'm not going to go into Man United because I really can't be bothered with it. I did it a lot in the last video. What else did I watch at the weekend? I watched the Villa game on Saturday night too, and again Chelsea. Like, I don't know. I listened to podcasts with a Chelsea fan on it, and he asked all the other guys a really good question. What does a Chelsea goal look like? And they said Cole Palmer twatting it in from about 25 yards, and he said, yeah, bar Cole Palmer maybe twatting a ball in from 25 yards every 5-6 games. Like, what does a Chelsea goal look like? You know what a Liverpool goal looks like, you know what a City goal looks like, you know what an Arsenal goal looks like, you can even know what an Everton goal looks like now under Moyes already. I couldn't tell you what a Chelsea goal looks like. And I mean, the keeper situation is just, the keeper's dropped that in the goal. It's absolutely horrendous. So big win for Villa, who's striking options now, attacking options for them to push for the top 4 again, and even try and do something in the Champions League with Asensio. And Rashford has been really clever, and Rashford actually looks really sharp there. Again, just getting out of Man United and getting to another team, and he looks fresh, he looks sharp. Very, very, very good from Villa. Also watched Newcastle Forest yesterday. I mean, that was just a crazy game. Forest going 1 up, and then Newcastle with the 4 goals in about 10, 11, 12 minutes was just mad. Even like Isak's penalty was weird, like the way Sells tried to save it and didn't save it. Even before that, there was gets crossed into him. I think it's at 1-0 or 1-1, and he goes to catch it, and he palms it out for a corner. There was just loads of weird shit going on in that game. But Newcastle just not very solid at the back, and I think I seen something on the Athletic saying they're very Jekyll and Hyde, and I think that's spot on. They kind of feel like they've got their eyes on that cup final and trying to end that drought for a trophy. But that can sometimes be a bit distracting for them. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Wolves are the big win away at Bournemouth, who go down to 10 men. Palace flying at the moment, Glasner 2-0, and Spurs are the very comfortable 4-1 victory over Ipswich, and Brighton beating Southampton 4-0, which is no surprise. Same with Leicester and Brentford. Our captain in Mbeumo in fantasy. Leicester are just horrendous. I mean, Van Nistelrooy's come in. And yeah, just bad. One of my mates, Liam, said that, Leicester should have gone and got David Moyes well before Everton did. They should have gone for Moyes instead of Van Nistelrooy. And yeah, he's definitely not wrong on that front. So nothing too crazy at the weekend. To be honest, everything really went as you would expect. Probably bar West Ham beating Arsenal. So yeah, that kind of just sets it up. The league table. I mean, the Champions League spots is the interesting one. City currently fourth on 44 points, and then I mean you've got Fulham on 39 points in 10th. So Fulham 5 points off them. So from fourth to 10th, there's a 5 point gap, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. So that's the tightest it's been. What we got, 12 to go, 10, 12, 11 to go. Yeah, I think City still, as much as they missed Haaland a bit yesterday to be more threatening in the box against Liverpool, but they'll be consistent enough. Mamouche looks good. Savinho's getting in there a little bit. Like City will be all right for that, I reckon. Forest have got Arsenal and then they've got City, so that's two big games coming up for them. Like I said, Newcastle with a cup, and then you've got your Bournemouths and your Chelseas, your Brightons, Fulham, Villa have obviously got Champions League, so that'll be interesting to see how they balance that. So battle for top four is huge. That'll be interesting. Meant to be 5 spots this season going to the teams in the Prem. So we'll see what it is. But yeah, just wanted to come on here, wrap it up after the weekend. Still not feeling 100%. So hopefully that made some sense. Hopefully the video was alright. Just trying to keep it going, trying to keep it consistent. Liverpool are top, 11 clear. It finally felt like the moment we've been waiting for a long, long time. Yeah, up the Reds, and I think first on the spot live podcast there'll be not live, but first on the spot podcast in the studio coming up pretty soon with the boys, kind of getting those things together to kind of do it. I'm looking forward to that, so keep your eyes peeled on that one. It's Monday. Hope everyone has a good week. Peace.